point. One big change you announced for this year is the improvement in the ball physics. Yeah. And I personally, from my colleagues and all my friends who play FIFA and PS, was always that the ball physics in PS were the big advantage of this franchise. So why did you decide to change it exactly this year and not earlier or not later or whatever?
I think that it's just one of those things. Is ultimately we you know, as I said in the presentation, we were looking at the way our system worked, and you know, we found that the way we were simulating drag was wrong. We had you know, what wasn't quite correct in the sense, and it was just one of those things. It's wow, you know, let's look at this, let's do some prototypes, and it was just like, wow, this effect is huge. This makes a really big difference and allows us to do things we haven't been able to do before. So ultimately, it just came down to that. It was one of those sort of opportunistic things where we realized, you know, something we had wasn't quite right, and it's now opened up all these things to make, you know, the physics within the game so much better, and it makes the game just so much more rewarding. You get that great shot, and it's like, whoa, that feels so good.
Is the drag the only thing you change about the ball physics, or some other things too, like the heaviness or something like that?
That's the main thing, and that was the big one. Ultimately, as you saw in that video, the ball wasn't spinning much. We really didn't have much spin on the ball, which is really what gets the ball to move and get those different flights. By changing it, we've also been able to allow the player, the user can now kick the ball harder, which is another big change. So there are lots of little things. The big one was the drag. Now being able to kick it harder makes a difference too, and some tweaks, and you know, here and there, but you know, it's made a profound difference to the way the ball flies.
All right, and the other big change was that you have more build-up play. Can you give us some more detail about that, or was everything you said already everything you can tell us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the presentation we talked about quite a lot of stuff, and you know, the keys are, you know, a number of things, and one is tightening up the marking. The defence, you know, in previous games are quite loose. They are quite a distance away from the attackers, so we've tightened that up. We also are tracking runs. There's, you know, quite a few great bits of feedback around that in FIFA 13. So, you know, we've tightened that up as well. But then, you know, to add balance, as we always like to do, we've given you more attacking tools around new run types. You know, really, you know, when a game's a little bit tighter, it's important that you can play the ball into feet and then being able to get the ball, you know, with your back to the defender. So that's a great new mechanic that we're adding to protect the ball that you'll be allowed to do. We've had in previous years, but nobody used it because it was so difficult to use. So now it's just on left trigger. It's a very cool thing because it's not just backing into a defender. You can use it at any time just to, you know, to block block a player when you're sprinting. You know, if somebody's trying to, you know, use the push pull mechanic that we've had before, you can combat that with the protect the ball feature as well. So that's a very dynamic change. It's a really big change for us, and it really nicely complements the you know, the tighter game. Got more run, you know, better runs and the protect the ball means that we can really create that build-up play. You know, playing it through the midfield, you can dictate the pace of the game a little bit more, which you've not been able to do before to quite this extent, and it's really dramatically changed the way the game feels.
Good. So we've had the build-up play, we've had the new ball physics, and the third big change you mentioned was the finishing, the new shots. And I kind of fear that it might be a bit hard to balance, like when you have Steven Gerrard like shooting 5 goals from 30 meters each game. So how do you make sure that this doesn't overpower some players?
Sure. I mean, obviously as well, the players will be in the way. I mean, you know, that testbed thing we showed there was only one player there, so you got to remember that. You know, with slightly tighter marking, you know, the players aren't going to be as free as well all of the time. The key here is with the shooting mechanic is it's about timing. If you have some time, you can be able to get off a better shot. If you don't, the ball will be more under your feet. You'll get off, you know, more, you know, getting the ball out of your feet ultimately. What we never did in the past was really showed that. We always had that kind of idea within the game, but the visual mechanic we never sort of translated that to the user. So they're kind of, oh, why was that a bad shot? But timing is the thing. So if you get the timing right, yes, you'll get off better shots. But you know, ultimately, you might not have the time because the players are tighter to you. So it's always a balance. These things, you know, you get the opportunity, and it's going to look and feel really good when you pull it off. But it's not going to be, you know, ultimately, we spend a lot of time balancing our game, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't become overpowered. You know, that's something we spend a lot of time on.
Okay, one more general question. Before I got here, I wondered what would the changes be? How do they improve the FIFA 13 experience, which was very good already? Do you ever get to the point where you release a game and you run out of ideas for the next game, or do you always just start right away and implement new things?
Yeah, I mean, no is the honest answer, and it's a very genuine one. You know, we're very fortunate with the sport that we have. You know, something new comes up all the time, and it's very exciting, and there's new inspiration every single day, every week. You know, with the time that we have to make the game each year, there's always things that we want to get to that we can't, and we move them to the following year, or we come up and maybe we move them to not doing them, and we decide to do something better. So the real genuine answer is we've never run out of ideas. We've got so many more. There's so many things that we still haven't got to yet that we'd like to. You know, and I think it's really cool, right? I mean, obviously, what we try and do every year is make the best game that we can, and make the game as different. Maybe isn't the right word. It's not trying to make it different just for the sake of it, but make it feel like it's a really, you know, new game with lots of new cool things within it. And you know, as of today, we've still never run out of ideas, and we've got plenty more to come. So no, we're not running out of ideas. Okay,
but you said you push back some ideas. So of the new features,
yeah,
where at? No. So you won't tell me which ones of those were already planned for FIFA 13 or 12?
So previously, well, I mean, you know, one of them, a really good example was Player Impact Engine. I mean, that had been in the works for a few years before. That was something that we would like to have put in earlier, but just it wasn't ready. So, you know, there's a great example right there. You know, I think I'm trying to think of a few other examples from last year for you. I think the attacking intelligence was one that we thought about doing for a while, and just, you know, my time wasn't right. You know, the previous year we just put in 12, we just put in tactical defending, so we thought it was a nice evolution for 13. It was good timing. So it does depend. I mean, ultimately what we try and do every year is, as I say, make the best game that we can, but we're also got to get the balance right. So, you know, you can't just put in a load of attacking features and not change defending, because it makes the game unbalanced. So we've got to be careful of that as well.
All right, one last question. Okay, wonderful. I know EA is a very big company, and you most likely won't follow everything that's happening. But one big topic for the company recently was SimCity and its release, which was not that good, to be honest. Did you learn something about that for FIFA? Like, you know, all the social stuff wasn't working properly, and yeah. Did you get any lessons from it?
We're always looking and learning. I mean, ultimately we make, you know, we're quite lucky in one way that our game comes out every year. It tests us every year. So we have, you know, very good processes in place to make sure that, you know, we're testing all these different things, making sure that you know, the live environment is right. So, you know, for us it's about reviewing what happened last year and where could we improve, what went right, what went wrong. We will do the same. You know, the SimCity team did an amazing job, put out an amazing game. You know, we'll look to see if there's anything we can learn from that. I can't give you any specifics right now, but, you know, absolutely, if there's anything that we can learn, we will. But fundamentally, you know, the team have done a really good job there of fixing, you know, the issues they've had. But ultimately, they made a really, really good game that they should be proud of.